Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you this morning. I hope that everyone who is up already is up and off to a good start. And that's kind of what I want to actually talk to you about uh, this morning. As some of you who have been paying attention to catching the last few live videos that I've done, you're aware of the fact that I'm now currently writing my 20th book, which is Critical Mass, which is about reaching the state in which you have all of the components and the elements to create the life that you want. Critical mass is the accumulation of everything that is needed to create a specified and desired reaction and sustain it over time. And so when we're talking about critical mass for success, it's going to be defined by the person who is seeking a particular thing, because success to every person is different. I define success based on something I heard a long time ago as a child, actually, and then over and over again, I heard it repeated, and that I simply took from that and adapted the idea and created a simplified definition of success. We often get caught up in these places of dissatisfaction and discomfort and that lacks fulfillment and doesn't seem to be getting us anywhere, and we get caught up in the cycle or the treadmill, so to speak, of chasing something that we don't even have a passion for, because it falls in line with what society has defined as being successful. Well, as a kid, I used to listen to these LPs of a guy by the name of Earl Nightingale, who's considered the father of quote unquote motivational speaking. And Earl Nightingale was real huge on for a simpler way of defining it, the law of attraction. He had read Napoleon Hill's book and he was on it. And so he used the principles brought forth in that book to do what he did. And he launched an entire industry behind that. From that came Zig Ziglar, Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Tony Robbins, and on down the line. These guys come out and each one comes out with their own way of doing what they do, but it all came from Earl Nightingale, and Earl Nightingale once said, defined it. And so I just took what he defined and I simplified it to the best of my ability, but kept it pretty much there. So this is his, just say it my way. And the success is simply the progressive pursuit of something that is worthwhile to the person pursuing it. When you find something that you consider to be worthwhile, something that's valuable to you, something that means something to you, something that's worth getting up every morning and pursuing and going after and investing yourself into, and you can see yourself progressively moving towards that, you're successful. It's not simply the attainment of the goal. It's not simply the reaching of the goal. It's the moving towards the goal. And I tell people all the time, it's immensely important to understand that, because a lot of people get frustrated, disappointed, and quit because they only see success as the attainment of the goal. And what I can tell you is success is always more than that, because anybody with drive will set a goal, whether it's financial, whether it's relational, whether it's social, whether it's personal. You will set a goal, and when you reach that goal, you'll celebrate, then you'll move forward, setting another goal to become, to develop and have an intent on growth. Intentional growth is huge. So you're constantly looking for ways to grow yourself, expand yourself, build yourself. So in that sense, the events or the moments in time that you achieve a goal is just that. It's a moment in time that you can sit up and say, okay, based on this goal, which is simply an increment of measurement of my progression, I'm moving forward. But you should be able to look at the micro progressions that you experience daily and be able to say, you know what? I'm advancing myself. Why? Because you need to have the positive experience of celebrating your success on a regular basis, because that will fuel your mental state and the positive nature of your mental state, and create a greater capacity to move forward. If you only celebrate when you reach your 90-day goal, your 6-month goal, your year goal, your 5-year goal, those are like 4 times in a long period of time where you're going to meet all kinds of opposition, all kinds of frustrations, and all kinds of setbacks. And if you don't have mechanisms built in that'll help you balance that off, in your mind, you will perceive all of that resistance and those few little moments of success as being a failure, as I've got way more frustrating moments than I have successes. You've got to be willing to look at when you're advancing and say, okay, over the last week or so, I've noticed that I'm consistently waking up at the time I said it. Over the last few weeks ago, I've made it an effort and I've been consistent with spending more time with my family. In the last few weeks ago, I've been better at how I spend my money. Whatever area you're looking to be successful in, and you should want to be successful across the board. You should want to be holistically advanced and progressed and growing. And so when you sit up and you get to a point to where you're only celebrating something when you hit your 90-day goal, you've got to take a whole lot of bumps and bruises to get there. And what happens with a lot of people is they simply never get there, because those bumps and bruises, without having anything worthwhile to celebrate, to look at, to balance it, just overwhelms them. As I stated when I first started this, what I want to talk to you about is the importance of getting your day off to a good start, but also the importance of having the capacity to rescue your day. What do I mean? You want to wake up in the morning and you want to put yourself in what I call an optimal state, and everybody has a different way of referring to this pinnacle that you can reach as far as being in a certain state or place of existence. The term state is actually used by a lot of people, but it comes from the discipline of neuro-linguistic programming, something that was created back in the 70s and has been adapted, and it expands and it grows. And the wonderful thing about it is, because it taps into the limitless potential of what the mind can do to shape the world. It's no limit to what you can do in neuro-linguistic programming to help people change their realities. But in state, what it says is the state that you're in will dictate how you interpret whatever you're going into. And to give you an idea of what I mean when I say state, your state is, you can be in a number of different states. You can be a state of anger, a state of fear, a state of anxiety, a state of worry, a state of uncertainty, or you can be in a state of confidence, a state of certainty, a state of anticipation and expectation. You can be in a state of total focus. And when you get to a point to where all the areas in which you can exist in a state are positive, I call it an optimal state. It's that state where you wake up, but you have to be focused, and you have to have these rituals, these things you practice on a regular basis that will automatically put you in a state when you wake up. Like I told you guys before, the first thing I do in the morning is set my state, and I begin by setting my state with a number of positive progressions. The first one, always the first one, when I wake up in the morning, is gratitude. I am grateful first and foremost to be alive. I am grateful that I have my thought capacities. I am utmost grateful that I have a beautiful woman laying next to me who loves me despite me, in spite of me, not despite me, in spite of me. And that says a lot when you know me. I'm so invested in things, and I am so intense that I'm not necessarily the easiest person to get along with. I'm not a mean person or aggressive person in that way. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I am invested in what I do, and it takes a person who's willing to love an invested man to be able to deal with me. But it comes with its benefits. But anyway, what I do is I get up, I start with gratitude. And the one thing I can tell you is gratitude lays the perfect foundation to set your state. Why? I found that when you're truly grateful, when you're truly in a state of gratitude, you don't experience fear, you don't experience anxiety, you don't experience worry, you don't experience any of those negative emotions, anger and whatever, and you start. And what you find is you are able now to move into these other states, and you start to build. And you can use music. Music, the right music sets a state, and that's important. Guard your gates. Pay attention to what you're listening to on a regular basis. Little small things plant seeds that your subconscious picks up that your conscious mind doesn't. And so you got to be very careful what you're exposing yourself to. I remember, man, it's been a while now, but roughly maybe 28, 29, 28, 29 years old. And up until that point, I had experienced some things that, you know, hey, I got this. I got life. You know, I'm doing this. I had some bumps and bruises. I overcame and kept going. Then I got to this point to where there was this consistency of struggle and lack of productivity in the things I wanted to do, which is something I wasn't used to. And I couldn't figure it out, and I'm frustrated, and I sit down to talk to my mentor. And he said probably 10 minutes into the conversation, you just said it. I'm like, just said what? You just said why you can't get right now. And basically what I had said without even knowing it was, I can't win for losing. What had happened is I had a string of things happen in a short period of time, and I took on a mindset that I didn't even think about. I can't win for losing, but that was a subconscious reading that I didn't even register on the conscious level, that was feeding my behavior, that was feeding the way I approach things, that was impacting my decision making. And whether you realize it or not, the vast majority of your decision making is actually made from a subconscious predisposition. There are so many decisions you make that you have to make like at the drop of a dime, and you are not sitting up going through your conscious progressions to try to make sure you're making the right decision. You are making your decisions based off of a foundational principle and value system built by your subconscious. And if you're not guarding your gates and you're allowing any type of trash into your mind, trash in, trash out, you've got to be very careful of what you are feeding your mind. Guard your gates against all negativity and constantly feed it positivity. That was a study done not too long ago, where they found out, where they measured the behaviors in a number of different ways of people who were pessimists and people who were optimists. Now, what they found was interesting. Those who were considered pessimists, the people who could see the negativity and the possibility of failure in almost anything, actually were more accurate in their assessments of any moment of reality in their lives or their surroundings. They saw things pretty much as they were. They were more accurate than the optimists in assessing the reality. Here's the thing, though. When it came to how life turned out for them, the pessimists always seemed to have a substandard existence, never really truly achieving. And the optimists, because they actually see things better than it is almost always, the positive mindset and the state that puts them in a motion to do things. If I believe things are better, I invest more into making it even better. I take on a mindset of doing things. So that's this progression of, even though I'm literally looking at it and saying it's better than it is, I might go out, if I'm an optimist, I might go out on my first day and say, I'm gonna start a business. And I might totally screw up at it and sell one glass of lemonade. I mean, I had an opportunity to sell 100 and I just didn't get it right, but I sold one. But in my mindset, just selling one was awesome. I did great. Everybody asked me, how does the first day go? And I go, awesome. Guess how much more prepared I'm going to be the next day I go out. I'm going to go back and find out what I could do better. I'm going to go back. I'm going to get right. I'm going to have a more upbeat feeling and spirit about me. When people engage me, the energy that I'm emitting is greater. And I'm actually going to sell 3, 4, or 5 the next day. And I'm going to come back and say, oh my God, I'm exceeding my wildest dreams. I'm seeing things in a way that's much more, what? You could say positively distorted. But that positive distortion is leading to greater and more positive actions. You got to understand that the mind and the brain cannot determine the difference between what is actually real and what is imagined or perceived. That's why we say perception is reality. Whatever your mind is interpreting, your brain is taking as your reality. That's why when you can see things clearly as far as what you want in the future, even though you don't have them, you're already beginning the process of manifesting them because your mind is believing it, is starting to see it. So what you feed your mind the most is what you're going to get back out. And so anyway, in setting this state, you know, when I sit up and I look at people and I'm like, okay, what's going on with the person? Why aren't they really truly getting anywhere? And one thing I find, especially with my faith-based brothers and sisters, is they tend to want to mystify God. They want the more mysterious they can make God, the happier they become. The more esoteric the idea of God, the better. And a vast majority of us have been trained not to question, just to hear it, listen, and believe. The problem is when you make God that mysterious, when you make him that esoteric, when you make him so mysterious that he's impossible to grasp, you also distance yourself from him because it's a natural process, mental process of being disconnected from those things we don't understand. We operate and function in our area of understanding. We engage and we become passionate about those things that we believe and have a certain level of certainty about. Now, you can have a level of certainty about the power of God, the wisdom of God, the love of God, all of that. But until you make an understanding of the presence of God and the God that's around you and in you and in everything that you touch and of every part of you, then you lose the power to truly use the relationship that you say you have with God. Let me explain. God is in every liter of air you breathe, every milliliter of air you breathe into your body. The divinity of God is in it. He exists in every molecule, everything there is in this earth. He exists in it. And when you breathe in the air of God, you breathe in the elemental component of life. Think about it. You can't not live without breathing in. You breathe in the air, which has oxygen, which is necessary for the molecules and cells within your body that are made up of billions and billions of atoms to have what it needs to stay alive. So the very life force of God is in the air you breathe in. The problem is so many of us have taken such great effort to make him mysterious that we have distanced ourselves from. Think about it. What kind of relationship can you have with something so mysterious that you can't understand it? It is in understanding and getting to know something that you develop a connectivity to it. It's in when you're building a relationship, you build that relationship on an understanding of the person you're building the relationship with. The more you get to know and understand the person, the more you become connected to them and you see how they benefit you and how you benefit them and how together you're stronger, whether it's a friend, whether it's a spouse, whether it's your children. You understand that there's a connectivity based on how well you know and trust them. You can't trust something you don't know. I don't care how much you say you do. It's when it's in that disconnect. But check out. When you have that type of disconnect between you and the Creator, between you and the Almighty, regardless of whatever faith system you claim, when you have that type of disconnect and you're breathing in the very life system in air that keeps you alive, most of us choke on the divinity in the air. Some of y'all will get that. Most of you probably won't, but just think about it for a second. God is present in the air you breathe. He's the very life force in the air you breathe that feeds the cellular structure, the physicality of you, to hold and embody the holistic you. And when you don't have a true understanding of the power source around you, you tend to choke on it. You tend to inhale it. You stay alive, but it diminishes you. We're diminished physically, we're diminished mentally, we're diminished emotionally, we're diminished psychologically. We have no true sense of hope. You have to set your state. You have to be with. Now, the wonderful thing about it is when you wake up in the morning, you set your state. I want to talk about setting your state, and then now I'm about to move to rescuing your state. You talk about setting your state. You're talking about getting up in the morning, finding a quiet place, and reminding yourself of your destiny. That's what it's about. When you have a true understanding of your destiny, the way I define destiny is real simple. Destiny is that idea, that place, that destination that absolutely nothing can stop you from reaching. I saw it in the movie Deja Vu. It's like probably one of the simplest forms of destiny you can ever simplest definitions of destiny you can ever get. I listen to everything and I hear things and it sticks. The guy is telling Denzel Washington why Denzel Washington has literally traveled in the past to try to stop what's just happened in the present. And he's talking to this guy who's this bomber, this killer. And the guy looks over at him and says, do you understand the definition of destiny? And Denzel says, what? Destiny is that thing that no matter how hard you try to stop it, you only ensure that it happens. That's destiny. When you get that type of understanding of destiny, that you're destined for greatness, that you're destined to be powerful, that you're destined to live at the level of your design, that the Creator created you with a purpose in mind, and that purpose leads towards a destiny that is a part of the culmination of your progression, then you begin to understand that no matter what happens in my life, I'm built for this. See, in my design, there are mechanisms built to withstand certain things. In my design, there are mechanisms that allow me to become creative in where I think, to overcome certain obstacles, to move around and through and navigate certain challenges. It's in the understanding that in this design, I'm prepared, or I'm built for this. I'm prepared to go through whatever I go through. So when I meet a challenge, when I meet difficulty, when I meet hardship, when I meet trouble, I am not shaken by it to the point that I relent, that I give in. If you ever follow me to a place that I've spoken at before, more than maybe 2 or 3 times, the first thing that happens whenever I walk on stage, it never fails. They begin to chant, no surrender, no retreat, no surrender, because it's something I hammer home in my messages. You're going to meet opposition. You're going to meet struggle. You're going to meet disappointment. No surrender, no retreat. You're going to have people talk behind your back. You're going to have people try to demean you. You're going to have people try to devalidate you. You're going to have people that are unbelievably adept at finding your fallibilities, your dark spots, your weaknesses, your past. But you're built for this. No surrender, no retreat. You've got to make up in your mind that I don't care what my past looks like. I don't care about where I'm at right now and the things I need to improve on, because no one's perfect. But I'm progressing and I'm celebrating my progression daily. I'm learning that I'm getting strong, I'm getting better. I'm able to guard my gates and feed my mind and grow. That is this place that you have to be. And that's what I am constantly trying to feed people. No surrender, no retreat. But see, when you wake up in the morning, you set your state through gratitude, through an understanding of what's possible, through knowing who you are, by examining your design and by examining your capacity and determining your purpose and building a passion out of that purpose and setting your pace and setting your gait and setting your direction and path towards your destiny. And you get up every morning and you do that. But let me tell you what happens when you do that. You get up, you got this great state. You go sit down at your desk, you go to your job, you get in your truck, whatever you do for a living. You get in there and you get to going, and I guarantee you life is going to come at you. Life is going to come at you. You're going to get cursed. You're going to get somebody that's negative towards you. You get somebody curse you out on the way to work. You get somebody cut you off on the way to work. You got all these things that are going to happen over the course of the day that will disrupt your state. What you have to be is become an expert at restoring the optimal state as quickly as possible. Do I get upset during the day? Almost definitely. Anytime you got as much going on as I got going on in any given area, something's not going to go right. It's just what it is. Now, I can sit up and go, oh, Lord, here we go. And then I start to get this downward thing. The more I move into it, the more frustrating it gets, and don't realize that a lot of the frustration is actually being created by me and how I perceive it. Now, what I have to do is I have to have a set, what I've done is develop a set time limit. Something happens, I look at it, I get to get in my feelings for a minute to 90 seconds, tops. And then I sit up and I restore my state. Well, how can you just sit up if you're feeling this way? If you just got some bad news and you just got this, bad news is going to come. And pain is going to come. Loss is going to happen. Being in an optimal state doesn't mean you ignore what happened or that you're not connected to reality. Optimal state means that you're going to always perceive it, interpret it, and respond to it in the best possible way, meaning that the chance of you making decisions that are going to be destructive are less likely. And so what happens is I know things that I can do to myself that will immediately shift my state, regardless of what's going on right here, right now. And that is using physicality to impact mentality. Normally, it's the other way around. You're dealing with a situation in which the mind is impacting the body. And what you can do, though, is there's unbelievable amount of data on this. You can go read it, check it, and learn it and train yourself. But check this out. What happens is when I get in one of my things where, okay, I'm upset about something, I'm frustrated about something, some things are happening, I shift my state and I get back into this optimal state. And I do it by posture. I square my shoulders, I lift my head up, and I smile. You would be surprising. There are certain things, your brain is automatically interpreting your posture and the interpretation of your posture, because it's something that your brain has read throughout your entire life. When you're feeling a certain way, you sit and stand a certain way. And when you do that, your brain is interpreting, okay, when I feel like this, when I'm experiencing this, his posture is like this. Brain automatically asserts certain feelings, certain ideas, and so much more to your posture. So when you square your shoulders and hold your head up, regardless of how you're feeling, square your shoulders, hold your head up, watch how immediately your state shifts. You cannot keep your head up for any significant amount of time and your shoulders square and a smile on your face and not change your state. It is a real change. Your mind will begin to back up off of the emotion and start to process it in a different way. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. It doesn't mean that you don't have to deal with it. It simply means that, wait a minute, I'm still in control of my life. That's it. I just want to give you guys the idea that you are not in a situation where life is happening to you. You're in a situation where life is responding to you. What you do when you engage anything in life is going to determine the outcome. Not what's happening, but how you respond to it. With that being said, I'm going to check out of here. Don't forget that all of this is just me voicing what I'm doing as I write my latest book, Critical Mass. You can actually pre-order Critical Mass right now. The link is in the post box or the description box if you're watching from YouTube, and you can actually pre-order it now at a discounted price and get the ebook free. But whatever you do, start investing and understanding how you can change your life for the better, how you have the capacity, how you're in control. With that being said, I absolutely adore you guys. I absolutely love you guys. I'm about to check out of here. I got some things I need to do. Have a great day. I'm out. Peace.